Yes. All right. All right. Welcome back, everybody. Guess what? Guess what? Okay. All right. We are a few minutes late today, so thank you for your patience. That's why I often say it's going to be around 2:30 p.m. It's going to be around 2 p.m. It could be 5 minutes before or after, anywhere in between. You just never know what comes up. But I highly encourage y'all when you get the moment, even if you do it in a different browser or another page while you're listening to the podcast episode, the website, the link is in the video description below. We have now, we're on it. It's been under construction. So what we've done is we have updated the slideshow now. You will see familiar technology that you hear a lot on this channel and elsewhere about the trauma healing and spiritual growth, finding that clarity, getting the balance between the spiritual and the physical. Yeah, that is the emotional regulation that we need to have to get into our purpose and God's reality. Without being emotionally regulated, not gonna be able to know. Because let me tell y'all, oh man, it could be tricky. Okay, that's why you got to overcome those triggers, and that's what we're all about: breaking the trauma bond to the world, overcoming trauma triggers, and that's what we're here to do. I highly encourage y'all to check out the updated. Now, of course, my profile picture stays the same because y'all know and I know that this gonna be like that again. It gonna be even better. God said, "Oh yeah," you know that God, y'all, seriously, whenever he says he's going to restore 100, 1,000-fold, whatever, oh, you better believe it. Oh, he does. And I have way too many windows open on this thing. No wonder it was. That's what happens when we get busy up in here. All right, y'all. So let those notifications go on out. I'm going to do the typical check and all of that. See, there we go. We are going to talk about how demonic subliminal messaging works. Because as we talked about before, okay, that it is a spiritual battle for the mind, right? And then ultimately for the soul, right? For the mind, the heart, and the soul. That's what we're in, a spiritual battle for that. And it's so important with that heightened awareness that I'm here to tell you, and I'm not the only one, okay, who can tell you this. But with that heightened awareness, when that subconscious is awake, it knows. Because God perks our spiritual ears up whenever the enemy is trying to instill fear by using one of those demonic subliminal messages. So real quick, as the notifications continue to go on out, let me go ahead and get these formalities out of the way for the algorithms, all right? I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Truth Seeker podcast, streaming on the YouTube channel Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Yes, trauma healing and spiritual growth occur here and at CDHRWDRMD with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more. The link to the Academy is in the video description below for quicker access. Some of y'all may need to copy and paste the link to view what CDHRWDRMD offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. And yes, y'all are going to hear that at the beginning and end elsewhere also. It's if God says I gotta plug that sucker in for these algorithms. It's just the way it is, and I thank y'all for understanding. And thank you to all of you for your continued patience as we go through and do the update and bring you all, okay, that knowledge. You're not going to know if I don't tell you. So yes, you can hop on over to the website and check out what we have done. Okay, so you'll see about Ms. Michelle Dickey, MCHA, right underneath the slideshow, right? New pictures, except my profile picture that stays the same because that is what people become familiar with first. They put the face, right? They put a face to the name of the ministry and work, right? And the business. Okay. So that's how people will associate it. So we're not going to change that because, well, it's still us. And so there's no reason because we still look that way. The only thing that's different is the hair. Okay. And maybe a few pounds, but we're working on that. All right, y'all. Yes, you can. Listen, it's inspiration time for somebody right here. And then we're gonna get to it because God revealed to me how the enemy tried to instill a fear of falling into me. It didn't work because I believe I'm divinely protected by God. And so the enemy tried to do it over the years. And this is what I want y'all to understand about purging that subconscious. This is all part of it. Because God brought it to my attention. I was like, what was the obsession with all of that during a certain season in my life where there was another a family member who was having some serious issues with all of that. And just could not seem to apparently keep themselves upright. And so I said to myself, okay, well, we know why evildoers cannot keep themselves upright in the Lord, right? Doing all to keep standing upright in the Lord, right? The righteousness. Well, in order to do that, only Jesus saves. So remember that, because it is through Christ who strengthens us that we can do all things. And all things are possible with God. Okay? It's all about belief. What is it that you believe? If you have a fear of something, you got to overcome that because perfect love casteth out all fear. 1 John 4:18. Okay? So, yes, you got to, got to purge that subconscious of it. But, God revealed that to me. And so this is, I don't know how long it's going to go. But we got to get these out here to illustrate for you all how this works, because it's very, very subtle, just like the abuse over time, slow and subtle, but it's also through repetition. Remember that repetition. So what we want to do for you all is what we are doing is with that repetition on the positive side, on the righteous side, right? To get you all closer to God, right? Spiritual growth. And then heal from that trauma, right? Okay? And so the renewing of the mind, not conforming to this world. We walk away from the world in spirit. And so in order to do that, okay, we have to purge that subconscious. So this is all part of that process. And so God helps us do a lot of dot connecting in his reality because of things that we have to unlearn and things that we have to really get out of the subconscious, because the enemy does this in many ways. And it doesn't necessarily have to be with speech. It can be with visuals. I want y'all to understand that. Because the enemy did. He tried to instill fear in me of several things through visuals. All right? Yeah. Like when it gets cold outside, they want to send him one of his little critters. And then I'm like, oh, really? Okay, yeah, here. I got this. Yeah, they don't make it out. And I was like, you know what? I wonder if their little buddies were watching one of them try to come on in. Because, y'all, we keep this place clean, all right? Seriously, chosen ones are not messy. But anyhow, so they go splat. I asked God, I said, are any of their little buddies out there watching them come in and then not come back out and wonder why? Yeah, they ain't going to make it back out. Anyhow. All right, you all, this is your inspiration that, yes, you can. All right, let me get this out of the way. Because for those of you who have maybe been sitting there thinking that you're too old or it's too late to get back in shape. 45 years old and we're doing it. All right, every single day. You just got to get up and got to do it. You got to be dedicated. Right? In December of 2023 at 45, we're doing it again. To God, yes, we're doing it again. December of 2023. Every time I see the Wi-Fi go out, I'm going to repeat what I just said. So that way y'all understand whenever I see it, do that. Because don't let anyone tell you that you can't or that because you're maybe 50 years old and that, oh, it's too late to start working out. No, it's never too late. But I will give you this tip, that when you embark on that and you say, you know what, because yes, you can. Remember, in God's reality, it's all about developing that can-do attitude. That's right. Changing negatives into positive. Don't be sitting there telling yourself that, oh, well, you got, whatever. There are low-impact workouts that you can do. Yes. All right. And you start out slow. Don't be trying to go all at it with one. No. Okay, start slow and you work your way up. To help y'all put it in perspective, God had me start with my 3-pound weights again. When I was, before that crazy making season, I was getting close to the 10-pounders, right? But I said, well, things happen, life happens, seasons, right? Well, now it's time. God said, all right, but I need you to start with the 3-pounders again, all right, y'all? So now, and so slowly transitioning, thank you, to the 5-pounders again. Yes, this past week. So yes, you can. You got to have the patience. You got to have the willpower, right? You got to be dedicated with it. And you're going to have to change that diet. I'm going to tell y'all that God revealed that to me because I had deviated, okay, from the blood type diet that I was on a bit too much. Thinking because I was no longer in a toxic environment that now I can finally get back to eating other foods I was thinking more nutritional value, like potassium and potatoes. That's what I was thinking. But boy, was I wrong. Because I was walking the weight training, and after a few weeks, I said, okay, hold up a second. How come I'm not? I should be at least noticing something by now. And God said, well, open up the fridge. Open up the cupboards. So I did, and I went, oh. He said, it's your diet. See, can't be, y'all, this is real. You cannot be sitting there stuffing your face with Doritos and brownies and sweets and high salt containing foods and things like that. Right? Cannot be stuffing your face with that stuff, working out and expecting to see results. It's not going to happen. I don't care. And maybe it will for some who are younger because metabolism's a little different. Okay? But I'm talking about for grown adults. You got to make some changes. I'm not saying don't enjoy. If you are allowed to have a brownie and you want to have one in moderation, right? But you do have to make some changes. You start working out, you're going to need to get some fruits and vegetables. You're going to need to increase some protein now. Come on, because protein and fruit, y'all, those are the two main things that will help you burn fat. I learned that when I embarked on my modeling journey years ago. They taught me that. All right, so I'm passing it on to you. There's your inspiration that yes, you can. You just got to get off that couch, get out of that chair. I don't care. So, okay, you work a 9 to 5. Well, how am I supposed to work out when I work a 9 to 5? I'll tell you how I did it. When I was working that toxic workplace, right? I took my dinner with me. I took lunch and dinner with me. I would eat dinner at 4:30 p.m. Okay? Because I used to wait till I got home, 5:30, 6, what have you. I stopped doing that and I started working out when I got home after work. That's how I did it. I took a little dinner, tuna casserole, something, whatever it was, approved on a blood type diet. I took it with me and I would eat it around 4:30 p.m. Clock out at 5, pull over, do a video when we first started on YouTube, and then I would get to the house. And so roughly around 5:45, 6 p.m., guess what I'm in there doing? That's right. I'm doing some Insanity Max, baby. Right? That's what I'm doing in the evening after work, after dinner. For 30 minutes. It's doable. You just got to be serious about it. So there you go. Got to develop that can-do attitude. All right. So I had a little bit of an and more in the very beginning because somebody needed that inspiration, that motivation. So I'm leading by example because, here we go in full circle. All right. And so, when I get off of here, guess what we're going to be doing? Oh, baby, going to be doing some curls. A little bit at a time. You'll find the time. You serious about it, you will make the time. You'll figure it out. All right, you all. So if you got any question about that, don't hesitate to reach out. We got stuff coming for y'all on that one too. Can't seem to find a low impact thing, what have you, that works for you yet. Hang tight. So, but you want to start thinking about, the first thing you want to do is start thinking about what you're putting in your body. Because I don't want y'all to get disappointed. I didn't get disappointed. I just realized something. I was like, wait a minute, all right, we're working out and stuff. But I'm not really seeing a whole lot. I'm feeling some results, but not a whole lot. It's like, I know my body. I know myself from working out before. And I was like, I should, within the first few weeks, you should see something, right? You should be noticing something. And I wasn't. I was like, what's going on? That's when God said, we got to get rid of some stuff. So we did. All right, everybody. There you go. There's that inspirational part. Now, demonic subliminal messaging. So let me check real quick if I've got any questions from y'all on that one. Yes. See, there you go. Thank you, Chris. There's another example. Okay, real quick. Another. Okay, I don't follow any type of biorhythm. I just, whatever God puts on my spirit. If I get up in the morning, right, my tea, and start looking at the vision board, seeking ye first the kingdom of God, right? Thanking God for another day. Then I put that armor on. And then I'm looking, seeking ye first the kingdom of God. What you want me to do today, Heavenly Father? So like today, he had me update. He said, I was just going to update one section of the website, but he said, stay on it. Stay on it. I don't know. So you'll see the updated homepage. Got 5 sections now instead of, I don't even remember how many I had to start with. I had a lot. And so on the last section where I changed it to simplifying the complex, in that you'll see a few you'll see 5 paragraphs, so something like that, short paragraph, and the link to the mission statement and how to learn to stop living in fear, right? I had 2 sections that we turned them into a website page, and so we linked it to. That way we can declutter, and the navigation menu has been decluttered. So there you go, everybody. And so I highly encourage y'all to check it out. All right, it is way better, way more in alignment, and so God had us doing that. So that would be what set us back a few minutes from getting on this live, because I was determined. I said, I got to have it done. I want to talk about it with y'all. I want to have it done so I could announce it. Okay, and so no, and then protein is good for muscle recovery, absolutely. And so, beans, meats, there's vegetable protein, all protein counts. Okay, all protein, and nuts, almonds, walnuts. Oh my goodness, another good source of protein. So seriously, there's ways to it. And so Chris shared that he worked from 9 to 5. And so what he does, there you go. Another way to do it is that you get up. I would hope you maybe eat at least a breakfast bar or something, but you'll figure it out. I mean, it's probably different for men. I don't know than it is for women, but I always want to make sure I've got at least my breakfast on my stomach. Okay, and I try to go for 30 grams of protein right off the bat. That's what I try to go for. So a 2-egg omelet with about a half a cup of black bean chili on top. Okay, that gets me about the whole 30 grams, just to give y'all perspective. If I don't, I can get at least 15. So that's the minimum I want to start my day with, is that protein. Okay. And so he works out first thing, and then after work, 30 minutes each. So he gets an hour workout in before and after. See, y'all can work it out that way too. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay. So, yeah. The 80s aerobics. If that works, do it. You might have to do some experimenting. Absolutely. Right? And then a glass of water and breakfast. Okay, there you go. A glass of water, breakfast, and nothing heavy. There you go. That's it right there. Right? So that can-do attitude. So you start light, You work your way up. That's how God does it. God step by step. Okay? He's not going to sit there and say, hey, and do not listen. The world has people with this instant gratification mentalities. Don't do that. It's going to take at least 2 weeks or more before you really notice anything. That's why I said about 3 weeks. And that's when I was like, okay, hold up. Because we changed our diet. You know what I'm saying? So there you go. All right. So don't expect instant result within the first 24 hours. You're not going to see it. You're not going to see nothing. Now, after 1 week, you're eating right, and you're, little by little, you're eating right, with it. Then within the first week, you'll feel a little bit lighter. Okay? So to help y'all put it in perspective, the healthy way, over the last 4 weeks, okay, it took 4 weeks, right? About 1.5, let's see, I did say in a previous live, I said 3 upper body sizes down, all right? We are now down 3 sizes in 1 month. Because we're doing exactly. Got the 3-pound weights, right? Okay, and then we're doing 3-pound weight, right? Okay. All right, so that helping with that. And then a speed walking, and of course squats, things like that, with and without the weights. And so, let's see, I'm gonna see. Okay, 4 weeks, 7 pounds overall. 1 month, 7 pounds. That's good. That's a healthy way of doing it. So that's about 1.75 pounds per week. So even if you only make it 1.5 pounds per week, that's good. You don't want to lose too fast. Oh, you don't want to lose too fast. Because God revealed to me that the upper body area you want it to work side by side, like in sync. So like one side, 1 inch, one side, 1 inch. You know what I'm saying? You want that for that balance. God said you don't want to, if you try to go all at the same time, trying to lose 5 pounds in 1 week, that's not healthy. And professionals in this field will tell you that, or they should, that you don't want to do that. Okay? So anyhow, let's get to it. The subliminal messaging in movies, commercial, TV shows, yes. Okay? Subliminal, yes, in ads, TV ads, and movies, absolutely. This is why we have to be vigilant and aware, okay? Demonic subliminal messaging. All right. Negative words, anything that indicates a negative action, right? Okay. All right, so like falling, that's an action. It's not a good thing to do that, right? So I remember going through a season where one of the family members, another narcissist, was having a hard time. And, I'm just sitting there like, okay, well, there's nothing I could do. And so the others were, helping out with it and things like that and all of that. And they were telling me the details, like, okay. And they would insert that word over. Yeah. And so over time, God perked my spiritual ears up. And he was like, yeah, don't let that get in there. Because chosen one, remember, we're not easily accident prone. And the enemies know this. That's why they pull the stunt that they pull to put us in matrix, or try to, because they want to see if they can separate us from the Godhead on the inside. It's not possible. Once we are reconnected in mind, body, and spirit, no, The enemy can only, at that point, the enemy can only try and disconnect mind from body, but he's not ever going to disconnect us from spirit. It won't happen again. No. Okay? No. Because we were somewhat disconnected until God awakened us. Remember, when we were younger, many of us, okay, we could sense the spiritual. We didn't know what it was yet, but we knew it was there. So we just knew. And then so it's like, okay, Jesus said, right? Be with us for a time. And then you've got to go away. He doesn't really go away. It's just like he makes me think of that story. I forget the name of it. I think it was his name Finn or something. Anyhow, y'all can drop it in the comments below. But remember the kid who fell asleep for 20 years under I think it was an apple tree, but some kind of tree, and then awakens 20 years later. And okay, well, that's what I picture Jesus did on the inside of us. Right. That's what I picture. Because he didn't go away because he's in us in spirit. He just kind of goes into and not really a slumber, but I think of that, for a time while we go through the trials and tribulation to learn lessons. And so while we were younger, up to, I know I was 14 when he went into that slumber. And so I was like, okay, God revealed this to me. He will to you too. And so at that point, because one rose-tinted lens fell off. But still, I didn't even know yet that, okay, I'm still trying to take things in. I know that's young, but hey, it is what it is. And so we go through life, trying to figure out who we are, trying to see where we fit in, and things like that. Okay? And then Jesus comes back. He saves us. When God awakens us, that Holy Spirit's activated. We're like, oh my goodness, this is the real spiritual battle between good and evil, because you just revealed. Like the ex-psycho roommate. I'm like, what are we looking at? Okay? Without realizing that we had already entered the spiritual awakening. We just didn't know that yet. And Jesus saved. He has raised a spiritual body within us. And then it's no longer us who walk, but Christ who walks through us. And then we start to learn all of this. We're like, okay, we're getting that heightened awareness. That Jesus-like awareness. Hey, Jesus knew when Peter had the demon of doubt and others. That's why he said, get behind me, Satan. Jesus knew all of those negative energies and things. He knew that those were the demon spirit. He articulated it a bit differently, calling them devils. I never forget there's an S on the end of the word devil when we're learning about how Jesus casted out devils. More than one. Why I say you're not going to come across a narcissist with just one demon spirit. It don't work like that. Okay? There'll be a package. And if they're full blown, then they're a Jezebel. So there you go. Never forget that. Okay? That's how you tell the difference. Part-time one, and then Jezebel. But they will use demonic subliminal messages, and they're going to be negative. Like I talked about, like fall, right? And so that word will get repeated at times. And then when God perked my spiritual ears up, basically, it's like God turned the volume up. And I was like, whoa, hold up. Because the sound is what let me know. It was that when God turned the volume up, it was a different tone. There was a different sound to it. That's how I knew, trying to get my subconscious mind. Remember, the subliminal messages are designed to creep into the subconscious mind where the heart and soul reside. That's also where the kingdom of God is. So you got to remember and to be very mindful, right? That's what it's all about. Got to be aware of when they're trying to do this. So they'll use negative connotation, negative thing, negative action, things that are considered not good, right? To try and instill fear in us, in God's chosen one, hoping that we'll continue to think about it over and over and over. Because what a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. This is why we learn, because the power of life and death is in the tongue. So we must learn to speak the life over ourselves, right? Speak that positive stuff. So anytime you hear, oh yeah, it's like that Jezebel case study, for example. She kept repeating the word liver over and over again when referring to something that, when referring to hemoglobin. Okay, she kept saying that it looked like liver. And the tone and the volume of that word, God, ding, 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 ding. I was like, okay, I know what she's trying to do. Trying to instill fear, right, in me over that particular organ. It didn't work because Jesus cleans everything. Okay? So I was like, yeah, Jesus cleans everything. Not only that, chosen ones, listen, remind yourself. Okay? I am divinely protected by God. Drop that in the comments below. Okay? I am divinely protected by God. Because you are. Got to remind yourself of that. All right? That's it right there. And so she kept using that word. That's a subliminal message. But it was in the tone. It was like a very, I can think of a way to describe it for you all. Because you'll know. Your spiritual ears, God will tell you. You'll know because you'll recognize, hold up a second. It's like crisp, clear, no mistake about it. It's almost like, because they're talking at a certain level, right? And then when they say that word, it's not that they got louder, it's that God perked that up. And that one word just gets slightly louder, and then they go back to the regular tone that they're talking at. It's like God is picking it out. And he's grabbing them tennis rackets. He takes off them work gloves, and he's grabbing those tennis rackets, and he's like, nope. And he's like, that's not getting in there. Nah. All right. Perk them spiritual ears up, and he's at it. Like, not letting it get in there. Fighting our battle for it. Never forget that. Right? I love that analogy because it so describes what it feels like when God's doing that. When he's keeping that garbage out. Tennis racket. And so whenever that subsides, he puts some work gloves back on. He's like, all right, where were we? That's how God works. Okay? Seriously, y'all, that's how we fight the spiritual battle too. Think about it. We're sitting here doing, okay, whatever it is that God got us working on, right? Okay, and then, something occurs or what have you, right? Or let's say, I don't know, somebody calls or something, right, comes up. And so, you start to catch on to, oh, wait a minute, I see what they're trying to do. Trying to instill fear, whatever it is. And then so you're like, okay. And so now you taking them tennis rackets. All right. And in the spiritual, right? It's all in the spiritual. You're knocking them suckers out. All right. Or if you want to use a baseball bat, go right ahead. All right. Did that spiritual baseball bat, right? Knock that sucker out of the park. Take that subliminal message. And tell it to go. Show itself where the sun don't shine. All right, y'all? That's how we fight. And then we're like, okay, let's put them work gloves back on. What were we doing? Okay, where were we? All right, same thing. It's how God works. And he does that through us. I mean, I'm not laughing. It's just I like the analogy because it helps to put things in perspective. But that's how God works. It's not going to sit there and right. So thank you, Rip Van Winkle. That is the one. Yes, underneath the tree for 20 years. You have to be careful of banter at work or when we are being ourselves with pals for drinks and such. It can go too far and get distasteful. That's right. There you are. You are divinely protected by God. And subliminal messaging is a form of hypnosis. Yes. Okay, so those subliminal messages are a form of hypnosis. They are used to hypnotize. I want y'all to stop and think about, I noticed that there's a couple of people that dropped off apparently. Because, I don't know, but there was 2. That's okay. That's fine. If they don't want to, if they listen, y'all, this ministry is not for everybody. You know that. This ministry is not for everybody, but yes, okay, those demonic subliminal messages are part of the hypnotizing that goes on in the game of narcissism. So, you have to, gosh almighty, discernment, right? Okay, because they have to tell on themselves, and so we can catch that quicker, the evildoers, that is, catch that quicker, but at the same time, they want to repeat certain words, right? So we learned how to turn that into a positive, right? Like she kept repeating that word liver. So what did I do? I said, oh, you know what? I'm going to get some chicken livers because those are pretty good with iron. Remember, I shared that example before, but I had to bring it back because it fits right here. Okay? So if it's a reference to anything that had to do with your health, that's a big one right there, y'all. There's a lot of demonic subliminal messages about our health. So you want to watch out for those. Don't be walking on eggshells, no. But when you learn about radio frequency poisoning and things like that, you start to better understand that, okay. There are certain things that we can do, right, to protect our spiritual, mental, and physical health, okay? There are things that we can do, eating better, working out, things like that, all right, to help mitigate things going on, okay, out there with all this. We're not going to escape exposure, no. But there are ways to reduce exposure and also reduce its intended negative effects. So, more on that on the Patreon channel. But just know that because there is an obsession inside the matrix with health, right? Of course, because they want people to believe things about themselves that aren't true. And how do they get people to believe things about themselves that are not true? Through the demonic subliminal messaging. And it's very subtle, but over time, right? Just like the abuse, it's slow and subtle. And so over time, it gets embedded, like in that subconscious. It gets embedded back there. And so, because their conscious is not aware of the subconscious, they're going to conform to this world. They're going to believe what the world tells them about themselves. Because I have to ask y'all this question. Because I remember asking the fellow minister the same question. I said, it's really intriguing to see how they use radio frequency radiation to try and cure or treat something, an alleged ailment caused by radio frequency radiation. Talk about cognitive dissonance in action right there. And so some people are like, oh, it worked. They're miraculously cured. That's because they passed the test. They passed the demonic test. That the Matrix got the results that they were looking for from that human lab rat. So now we're going to let that human lab rat live and be free. Oh gosh, I could go all day on that, but that's not the point. Okay? So we got to remember that the world is a stage too. So we don't know how many people get paid to put on that show of being this and that and the other, and then put it out there on display, their journey to recovery, so to speak, tugging at people's heartstring, while really, okay, it's inspiring, sure. But I often wonder, did that really happen? Was I there to witness it myself? Then I'm not going to believe it. I'm not going to bear false witness like that. All right, but anyway, subliminal messages, okay, they're demonic. When they are negative, and they have anything to do with our health, about things that many of us come to learn don't exist. They're all made up. Because we do, again, live on a world stage where the toddler and adult body are living in fantasy land. Think about it, right? The world is the devil's playground, so you may as well call it fantasy land. Why do you think we have a board game called Fantasyland? Oh, we have, no, actually, it's Candyland. I'm sure there might be one called Fantasyland somewhere, but Candyland, I remember that. Okay, well, that pretty much is Fantasyland. All right. Yes, everybody. So just know that anything that's negative, and then anything that is going to like try and trick you into thinking that, oh gosh, okay, hold on, I got a good one right here. And it had to do with the narcissism side of marketing, because I've seen this happen. This is where we catch on and we go, oh, really? How they recycle last time, last chance, like last call. And then 3 months later, guess what's on sale again? We don't fall for it, because we know it's going to come back around if we're interested in whatever that is, you see? And so we watch out for that, okay? There's subliminal messages in there too, trying to instill fear. Anything that comes at you with any kind of urgency, like, you know what I'm saying? So, especially around the pagan holiday season, you're going to get a lot of that, right? The pushy sale type, pushy sales. That's narcissism side of marketing. They try to push the pushy. And it's all got all that overwhelming feeling with it, right? Right. And it says, limited time only. Oh, you better hurry up. Oh, and then 6 months later, oh, guess what? Yeah. Okay. And then so all the last chance to get such and such at this discounted price. If you don't need it right then, you're interested in it, maybe. All right, well, wait. Wait until you know that you can, because it's going to go on sale again, if that's what you're after. It will. They just got to do that, because that's that narcissism side of marketing. And that is also a subliminal way that they instill fear. Like fear of, if I don't get it now, I'll never get it at this price. And yes, you will. You just got to be patient. Okay, so. Yep. Okay. You had a fear of tripping and realized it was or is absolutely demonic in source. There you go. Okay, because, yeah. you did actually, right, tripped a couple of times because of the fear of it. See, that's what I'm saying. And you shouldn't be embarrassed about that. No, tell that demon of embarrassment to take a hike. Right? No reason to be embarrassed over it. Yep, January sale. Love of money in the matrix. Of course. But see, that's the thing. Yeah, see, remember, they say that we attract what we fear. So the other side of that is that we often attract exactly what we think of the most. That subconscious. Yeah. And so the enemy also uses demonic subliminal messaging through visuals. So you have the combination, if you're watching television, you have the combination of visuals and vocal. So they give you a visual of some potential bad thing that can happen with the word that describe. So that gets in that subconscious mind over time. So then when a person gets a certain age where the world has associated that particular thing to happen most often, and so a person gets that certain age and they had a particular lifestyle that could contribute to said bad thing, and so they start to think about that because they're noticing some things about themselves, right? They don't realize that the underlying cause is radio frequency poisoning. They have no clue that's really what it is that's going on. So instead they do what? Because they don't know anything else. Their conscious is not aware of the subconscious. And so when they're demonically possessed, that's it. That's it. They will never become aware of their subconscious mind. They will never understand what we're talking about. Those who are done, those who are perfectly programmed, will never understand what we are discussing right now regarding demonic subliminal messages and how the enemy uses them to get into that subconscious mind. Because in order, remember, the heightened awareness is spiritual awareness, means that we are conscious of our subconscious mind when God awakens us. We become aware of our subconscious mind. We got to start because perfect love casteth out all fear. And so they will never understand that because a lot of them have been tricked into thinking that they're not living in fear when clearly they are. Because they say things like, yeah, they're worried about. Well, if they tell me that they're worried about something, that tells me they're living in fear. You see, a double-minded man is unstable in all his ways, right? So they'll sit there and tell you, oh, they're not living in fear, but they're worried about this or that. Right. Because you're not going to be worried if you're walking and living by faith. Because you don't have anything to be worried about. You're not living in fear. You're not going out there turning an eye on every corner, expecting the worst, right? Chosen one, we stop. Yeah, renew that mind. Got to do the renewing of the mind. Yeah, no reason to live in fear. That's what the demonic matrix does. Nothing but want to instill fear. All right, so there's another way that the enemy uses demonic subliminal messaging to instill fear. Notification on your phone, right? Yeah, be mindful of those. Especially if it had to do with finances. Oh, the enemy is always trying to make people fear. Because when we learn how to walk and live by faith, we know that God provides for our every need. To help y'all put that in perspective, when I applied for this, I go back to the hotel room and God told me, he's like, it's already done. You have been approved. I didn't know that yet, but he told me, he said, I need you to repeat that. Because the enemy would try to get in there from the subconscious mind, y'all. Remember, we got to purge that subconscious. We're doing it together. I'm right there with y'all. Some of us are a little further along than others, but that's why we're here to inspire and motivate, keep y'all going with this. Okay, because through years of conditioning of doing what? That's right, second guessing ourselves. God said, we got to knock that off. God said, when I tell you something, it. Don't second guess that. Now, God will negotiate with you on something. If you let God know that you're not comfortable with something just yet, he'll listen. He's like, okay. I mean, he knew that. He just wanted you to understand. He wanted to know if you knew that. When he guides our step. Okay? If there's something that you are not yet comfortable with doing at that particular moment, let him know, because that's what he's waiting on. And then he's like, okay, well, I hear plan B. Which was plan A all along, but he's working with you. So when he had me apply for this, right. Because we don't know, but I have faith. Because there not a coincidence that on the day I was going to the other hotel one more time, they had me look up and the name of the complex right there in front of my face for a whole week. That's not a coincidence. It's just that God knew, okay, this is his appointed time. Alrighty then. So we got the ball rolling. It took a couple of go-rounds, but we got the ball rolling. And so once I had the application in and they simplified it for me, it was only 3 things they needed. That's it. Really simple, where the other place was trying to make it seem like I needed 20 different documents, when no, I just needed 3. Right? For the business and school. So once that was in play, and I got back to the room, and God told me, he said, it's already done. See, God's not going to have us do things if it's not already done. He said, you're already approved. And so I had to remind myself of that, because from years of second guessing, the enemy, was trying to rear his ugly head there from a subliminal message that got in there that tricked me into second guessing, just like all of us, through that abuse. But see, we get quicker at it. Even when you are fully healed from the trauma, this is something that you're going to do. Purging that subconscious. It's a whole other process beyond. You are not going to be doing a heavy purging of the subconscious while you're going over that rainbow. Okay? Well, it's not going to be a heavy one. You'll start the purging. Many of you have. So you're a little further along. You're like past the halfway point. Getting control of yourself. Getting that balance, right? That emotional regulation, the balance between the spiritual and the physical. Okay? Once you've got that and you're able to maintain it for a season or so, based on God's timing, then you'll know when more heavy purging, which is, we've been at the heavy purging stage for a while now. And that's just part of it. It's just really to stop with everything that we're doing in life, because our thoughts truly are spiritual power, and the enemy knows this. And so, right, when I applied, God said, you're already approved. Don't listen to the enemy. Don't let that trip you up. And every once in a while, the old way of thinking tried to creep in there, because I'm still purging the subconscious. God stepped in and said, tell you are already approved. And so the third day, on the third day, I got the email, I was approved. I want y'all to listen to this. how powerful those thoughts are. And the enemy knows it. So since that didn't work, here I am, right? The enemy's throwing a little bit of a temper tantrum because I detected some silent pouting going on in the spiritual. I started moving in. And then all on the sidewalk, because the enemy knows that I like to walk, right? Of course. Y'all do too. Right? So I get out there on the sidewalk, start doing speed walking, right? And you start putting people with shopping carts and stuff here and there, right? With subliminal messages, trying to instill fear, when God reminded me, he said, honey, Sean, I told you a long time ago, that's not going to happen to my chosen one. He said, that does not happen to God's chosen one. No, it's not going to. And so I started changing that thinking. I said, you know what, though? I said, there's going to come a day, and I have a plan of something that I want to do for those folks. That's right. Something I want to do for those folks. And God knows what it is. And he says it's going to happen. We've already done some here and there, but God knows what I want to do and what I want to put together. It's another part of my vision to help some people out. See, he's going to make it happen. He says it's already done in the spiritual. It's got to manifest now into the physical. And so we can't let the demonic subliminal messages interfere with that. We can't let the subliminal messages from the enemy, hinder that progress for anything. We learned that we've got that power and authority on the inside of us to not let the enemy do that, try to trick us into. And so through that exercise, I overcame second guessing myself about that. Okay, and so anytime the enemy was trying to, that's right, with the visual, like try to put things, pay attention to that stuff, but don't let it get inside the subconscious mind. See, that's the thing, okay? Because you know your circumstances and where you're at in life, right? And so the enemy was trying to make me afraid of, because he knows that we will attract what we're afraid of. And so we got to remember that. And if it's in the subconscious mind, it's still there. What a man thinks in his heart, so is he. And so I have to remind myself, but that's not going to happen. And so I speak it into existence. That's the other part, y'all. Speak it into existence. Okay? When God showed me, it's like, honey, child, my chosen one are not going to end up like that. He said, no, that's not going to happen. And then when a certain thing occurs for the last time, God says, that's it. That's not going to happen again. Because we're not going to let it. Now that we're aware of it. See, that's the thing. It's all about that awareness, right? Got to become aware. Like the conscious had to become aware of the subconscious before we're able to do this kind of purging and renewing of the mind. Think about it, okay? And so we have to, thinking positive, changing that thinking, turning negative into positive. And that's what I did. When I would see that, I was asking God. I was like, okay, do they make that choice? We know the system of narcissism can force that to happen for people. But, so I have a conversation with God, like, what happened? Why? And then he reminded me about, how narcissists are and things like that. So you've got like two sides. Because I told him, I said, well, I can't see all of them making that choice or doing that. But I can see the world, with the narcissism and all of that. I can see how the world would actually force that upon someone to happen. But they never had the fear of it, because we do attract what we fear, right? But I said, I don't believe that all of them had that fear. I said, I just find that difficult, because not everybody's going to have that fear, right? Shouldn't. And so God said, that's right. He said, not all of them did. That's why if you put something on our spirit, it's usually going to be for one who did not have that fear. All right. So there you go. Subliminal messages can be vocal and visual. That's the point there. I see you got to do all, right? You got the power to do it, to not let it do that and get in the subconscious. So, yeah, because the enemy's just always trying to make us afraid of stuff that we don't have to be afraid of. There's no reason to be afraid of. What, a little bow? Shoot. Again, like I said, you got fly swatter, you got sandal. Yeah, you got sandal. The enemy wants you to be afraid of it because maybe at some point in your life, remember, if it worked, okay, listen, if it was in the past, okay, all right, think about it. If you were, maybe when you were younger, okay, I'll admit it. When I was younger, yeah, of course. When we were young, okay, we didn't know that those things were more afraid of us than we are of them, just like the narcissist, right? We have no reason to fear them. So we have no reason to fear, no reason to fear them little suckers. Because, again, they come in here, yeah, they do not make it back out. Ooh. So there you go. So the enemy is trying to instill fear. I know what the deal is. Like I said, y'all, you got to remember something. Basic biology, right? Yeah. Just like humans, we adapt to new environments all the time. Yeah, because our autonomic nervous system does it for us. Yeah. It's a little warm outside. What does it do? It starts to sweat in an effort to cool off the body. Think about it. We don't even have to think about doing that. It just does it. So those little suckers, same thing. When the majority of the temperatures where we're located happen to remain high and humidity is high, it's quite warm, usually. So then they manipulate the weather to cool it down to where it's out of the normal range for even those little suckers, right? Well, they don't have hoodies and slippers and stuff that they can put on. So they're looking for a place that is warmer because they've adapted to that. Their little shells have adapted to the warmth, to the sun. So when it cools off out there, unlike humans who can put on extra layers of clothing, they can't do that. Okay, y'all, you know what I'm talking about. So they're just looking for a place that's got a little humidity and warmth, what they have adapted to. That's what they're looking for. So there's no reason to fear them. They just go splat. Oh, good point, Chris. Yes, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy if you keep dwelling on the fear. That's it right there, which is a big part of what the enemy wants right there. Is that he wants, right, we got to think about this, the evildoers, because of those demonic subliminal messages, over time, right, that's what they're starting to think about themselves. They're starting to fear because they're worried about this. I would tell y'all something, especially in the fall and the winter times, man season. Again, for whoever needs it, don't forget that God's seasons are not the same as man's seasons. And to help y'all put that in perspective, I have been in a self-care season now for several months. And we're still in it. I don't know how much longer. It don't matter. It's however long it takes. God's waiting on some of y'all. Some of y'all sitting there asking God, okay, well, how much longer? How long do I have to wait for? Or how long before? God's waiting for you to accept that it's going to take however long it takes. That's what God needs to hear right there. And you need to accept that and be all right with that. It took me a little bit, but you can do it too. If I can do it, you can do it. So I did, because there was a certain thing I was asking God, all right, so about how much longer for this? And he didn't answer me. And so I finally had to realize, you know what? It is what it is. It's going to have to take however long it takes. And that felt good to admit that. And God said, There you go, my child. That's what he was waiting on. But yes, it can become a self-fulfilling prophecy if you keep dwelling on that particular fear. And so that's what the evildoers do. So they end up telling themselves over and over and over again things about themselves that eventually become true. They call it stupid. Well, what do we learn about them? Reprobate mind. They really are. The enemy is really stupid, you all. Really is. He's diabolically smart, but the devil is really stupid. Because it don't matter that we're a chosen one. He still sees flesh as objects. That's why he's stupid. He's still going to try anyway. Even though he knows he won't accept it. But he knows that when we are raised that spiritual body, when Jesus saves us, and we make that commitment and the decision to cross and follow Jesus and not conform to this world, but be transformed by the renewing of the mind, the enemy knows that when that happens, he's not going to separate us from the Holy Spirit. He's just not going to do it. Not going to be able to. I don't care what he tries. He knows that. But again, because he sees flesh as object, he's going to try anyway. This is another reason why we learn. Oh, hold on a second. Once we spot that they're an evildoer, especially a Jezebel, we don't ourselves get involved. I don't care if they come at you with that right, because we know that they do it to each other, right? We know that they abuse each other as well, and they like it. But if they come at us with puppy dog eyes, we're not getting involved. And they won't be able to help themselves. They don't have impulse control, y'all. So they're going to use the puppy dog eye because they're demonically possessed and toddlers in adult body. So they're going to have the puppy dog eye. They can't hide it. Not anymore. Remember, the devil and his antics, if you will, they can't hide in plain sight anymore. Not in God's reality and not in front of God's chosen one. Once we become aware, heightened awareness, we become aware of the demonic subliminal messages that come through the television, that come through the radio, and then also billboards. Okay, billboards. Watch out for that too. And then not just billboards, advertising, but think about the buses that have advertisements, right? Think about the word accident. That's a demonic subliminal message. That over time, if you're not aware of that subconscious, it can get in there and embed itself. This is why we learn that perfect love casteth out all fear, and that we are not going to allow anything that signals or alludes to a type of fear of something. No. Because we have to stay aware, vigilant and aware, right? So you know how God said the enemy, our adversary, the devil, is always roaming about, seeking whom he can devour. Well, it's through those demonic subliminal messages that he's trying that too. See who he can devour, right? Yeah, it's that spiritual battle for the mind. So anything to do with that, of course, ultimately, again, the heart and soul in the subconscious mind. So we have to learn. So what's another one? Okay, watch out, y'all, because there's a few of us who've come to realize something. Don't listen to anyone out there saying that to be successful, you have to fail first. Get that out of your subconscious mind. Because no, we learn lessons. We learn stepping stones. But the word, if we say that failure is not an option, okay, well, if failure is not an option, then that means failure does not exist. Not in God's reality. There is no fail. That's one of the common, oh my good, conditioning words, if you will, from the first two realities, right? And how does that get started? Yeah, when you go to school, you got to take a test. Either you pass or you fail. That's a subliminal message, right? So over time, it gets in there, right? And so then you start to believe that you have to fail first to be. No, you are already successful. When God wakes you up to and from all of that, my goodness, okay, you're already successful. God says it's already done. So get that word out of your vocabulary. Get that out of the subconscious. I know that we joke, okay? I know that we joke because when the narcissist, once we become aware of their thing and their antics and stuff like that, yeah, what they try to do becomes an epic fail. Okay, that's why we have that button, all right? But that's just that's a fun pun. Okay, that is a fun pun. It means simply that what they tried no longer works on us. For those who haven't heard it yet, it does this. Okay, whenever they try one of their love bombs or what have you, right? But I'm talking about as far as in life, okay? You can have fun puns with it, have fun with it, not. Know the difference. But get that word. Anything you start working on, it's going to take time. Anything you start working on, it's going to take time to learn, right? Learn new things about yourself, learn new skill set. And God knows that. God said, hey, no. Again, you ain't got to have it all figured out on day one. No, it's another journey. So welcome, all right, to this growing community of spiritual warriors for Christ, where we are on a journey together in the spiritual awakening, God's reality, unlearning worldly garbage. Yeah, basically unlearning a lot of demonic subliminal messages. And so they're out there, right? Yeah. So anything that signal something negative or a negative action, what have you, like I said earlier, the word accident, be mindful. Don't let that get in the subconscious. Chosen ones are not easily accident prone. Okay? But the enemy wants to get that in the subconscious. Now, at the same time, there is a lawyer that is advertising for his or her firm. Okay. So just know that that's what it's for. That's how you do that. Okay. So it's like, how do you keep that from getting into your subconscious? By recognizing the advertisement for exactly what it is. All right. Because the word accident would stand out to a crept and unawares. All right. But chosen ones look at the bigger picture. This is how we keep that stuff from getting into the subconscious mind. So we're not dwelling on it. Whereas a narcissist will dwell on that. They'll see the word and go, and they'll dwell on it subconsciously. Chosen ones don't do that because we look at the bigger picture. So that's how. You see that on a billboard or you see that on a moving vehicle and it's got a phone number and a picture of the practitioner, okay, the lawyer. Just say, oh, okay, they're just advertising their law firm. Okay, that's what it's for. And let it go. Because that's what it is. That's what it's for. And so you'll know, oh, okay, you know what? Not an if, like, okay, so you know who they are. They're planting that advertising seed. So that you'll know, if you ever needed to use their services for something. They might offer more than just that, so you never know. So knowing the difference, right? Okay, seeing the bigger picture, not in on the negative word. Whereas the narcissist, that's what they do. They hone in on the negative words. And so the enemy pushes out the demonic subliminal messages like that. It's through a single word and sometimes through a whole phrase. Okay? Yes, one of the most common demonic subliminal messages to instill the ism mindset is call to see if you qualify for the benefits that you deserve, or call and get the compensation you are entitled to. Those phrases right there. That's demonic subliminal messaging. That's right. All to get them to believe that they are entitled to because of status, position, title, or something that happened to them. And so that's the ism mindset, where they believe that they are entitled to. So I remember having to correct somebody on that when he called and was sharing one of those things with me about helping his sibling out with a sale on something. And he made the comment that, he made the comment that he was going to make sure that he would get the commission he was entitled to. He used that word. And so I said, hold up a second. I said, entitled to? And he goes, oh. It made him think for a second. Because, I know this person. I'm like, hold on a second. I've never known you to have that kind of mindset like that. And so I stepped in and he was like, oh, true. So, there are those out there, y'all. I'm saying, even if they kind of headed towards becoming a part-time one, if they have some sense about themselves and you do that, you point it out to them and they realize, oh, that's true. Or they admit that, I guess it was an attempt at guilt tripping and they learn to knock it off. They don't try it again with you. Then there's some hope for that person. Come on now. So there's your inspiration for anybody who's wondering, right, how you interact with people, that there are those out there who really don't have an ism mindset like that, but they don't realize that they've got those words. You know what I'm saying? It's like they're using words that they've been conditioned to hearing over the years. And so we stop and make them think, because they know better, that we're not entitled to anything except karma. What we reap is what we sow. That's it. If you want to think about it in terms of, or that's the only thing we deserve is what we sow, is what we reap. Karma. That's it. So there you go, chosen one. The demonic subliminal messages are, oh my gosh, they are many. If y'all can think of some more, just drop those in the comments below. I'm just giving y'all the ideas. I'm just giving you how the enemy does this stuff out there and through a ton of things. And then think about social media. This is another reason why the social media platforms don't give a rat's about us. They just want content that keeps people on their platforms scrolling, because subliminal messages. And a lot of them are demonic subliminal messages. That's right. Yes. Know where and how the subliminal messages are, yes, where they're coming from. It does help and make all the difference. It's awareness, right? It's getting that heightened awareness that we need to have, so that we're no longer, that's right, walking through with worldview blinders on. No. Right? It's like the worldview blinders off, and he put his God blinders on. Oh, yeah. Because he knows how the enemy works, and he's teaching us. Think about it that way. He knows. And so we watch out for these things. Because the renewing of the mind is purging the subconscious. Unlearning worldly garbage to make room for more of God's wisdom. Got to renew that mind so we can see how demonic subliminal messaging works. And it a number of ways. So we've covered a few. For those who are coming in, a little bit later, we covered words like fail, accident, fall, and then a fellow warrior shared the word trip, tripping, things like that. Anything that alludes to a negative or not so good action, so to speak, okay, because the chosen ones are not easily accident prone. And so, again, if you see that word in an advertisement, any of these words in an advertisement, how we prevent that from getting into our subconscious is by taking a look at the bigger picture, knowing, oh, it's an advertisement. That's what it is. That's the company. Oh, okay, cool. And then we let it go. Okay, the narcissist will sit there and dwell on that negative words, that one word, or the negative phrase. They will sit there and dwell on that. Chosen one, we learned that, okay, hold up a second. It's all part of that spiritual rebirth, too, when you think about it. Yeah, because the renewing of the mind is taking place so that we can make room for more of God's wisdom. And this is a big part of it right here, so that we're no longer thinking negatively, right? We got to start thinking positively. How do you do that? Well, I got to get some of that stuff out of that subconscious and stop letting negative talk in there. See, when God starts to clean out those spiritual ears, you want to keep them clean, right? So we stop listening to anything that's negative, right? Yeah, we stop listening to anything that causes strife, discord, division. We stop listening to a lot of these things out there that part of the chaos and drama, so that we can get into our purpose and do what God has called us to do. So in order to unpack that bag, we can't be listening to all that negativity. We can't be honing in on negative words and phrases. Okay? We can't be doing that. So we have to learn how to stop doing it to purge that subconscious. So I will share with you all that I once had, notice how I said once had a fear of height. I did. So how did you overcome the fear of height, Michelle? Took a leap of faith. Because see, the ex-psycho roommate, right, he knew about that with me at that time. So he says, hey, let's go for a helicopter tour. And I said, you know what? Yeah, that sounds like fun. Of course, it took him by surprise because he was expecting me to turn it down. I thought, you know what? It's time. I want to overcome that. And so sure enough, got up there and I was like, oh, pretty cool. All right, I was having fun. And I remember seeing in the mirror, right? I remember seeing in the mirror the ex-psycho's face was getting beet red. Oh, yeah. Because I did not react or respond the way he was expecting. He was expecting me to be all, I was like, I'm going to do it again. Yeah. So you see, it can be overcome. And so there you go. There's your motivation and inspiration right there to overcome. I know you're probably like, helicopter? Really? Yeah. And not only that, y'all, we just have to, it is the leap of faith to overcome that stuff. And not only the fact that perfect love casteth out all fear. So we're able to overcome them when we want to overcome them. Because we know that we can. The Godhead on the inside that's going to help us do that. It's like, all right, don't need to fear that. Don't need to fear that. So whatever the enemy knew we might have had a fear of in the past, that's what he's going to send across our path, even in God's reality, because it used to work in the past. It ain't going to work no more. No. Not when those of us are here to help y'all do exactly that, to purge that subconscious, okay? You know what? The fear of death, Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes. Here we go. Here's some additional examples. Thank you, Chris. See what I'm saying, y'all? If you come up with some additional examples of how the enemy is using demonic subliminal messaging, these are great. These are great. All right, bear with me. All right. So, doom and gloom is a doom and gloom YouTube content, but you may as well just say doom and gloom content across any platform, okay, suggesting that there's no hope. Oh, that's a big one. Don't fall for that. Please don't fall for that, because there is hope. I just shared a beautiful side of that hope with someone when I pointed out when they used the word that they were going to make sure they got commission they were entitled to. And I said, entitled to? Oh, see, there's hope. There's hope for that person. There's hope that that person will change for the better. So don't fall for that. And then subtle suggestion of negative outcome. That is exactly how demonic subliminal messaging works as well. Yes, very subtle suggestion of negative outcome. Watch out. Use your self thinking. You'll know, just like the accident, right? Okay. And then trying to instill a fear of falling. I'll share with you all real quick that the enemy tried that. When I closed the last Jezebel case study, June of 2023. Yeah, because the thing that occurred, at least to me, pretty early on in the, let's just say, physical recovery process. God revealed to me early on that because of what happened with certain places, okay, in the body, that, right, things got a little bit altered, right? The nervous system got put under a slumber of sorts, not fully, but enough to where certain things I would turn a certain way or what have you, or would feel heavier than necessary, but being aware of that prevented any of that, because we're divinely protected by God. But God revealed me, oh yeah, the enemy was hoping that you would, because that's what happened to them. They kept, after the fact, because they weren't aware. See, that's the thing, y'all. The heightened awareness is not just about doing the inner work, things like that, but it's also about our biological bodies too, paying attention to, hold up a second. You know, how we are, what we're experiencing at any given time, being aware, that heightened awareness, and about this stuff, what's going on out there around us, and then how demonic subliminal messages work. It's all part of that, but subtle suggestion of negative outcome, exactly. And then the fear of death, that's funny. The fear of the dentist chair, okay. But fear of death, you know what? Maybe when we were younger, but I can tell you now that is not something that chosen ones typically overcome that. If we had it for a season or so, we tend to overcome that, because it's not something that we dwell on, because before we knew and what we know is that, with God, it's spiritual life everlasting. So that's beautiful. You know, our physical is going to turn back to dust at some point on God's time when we have served our purpose. So it's like, okay. So it's like, there's no reason to fear it. Something that you know is going to happen at some point anyway. There's no reason to fear that. Because we know that physically, biologically, well, I mean, it is what it is. We don't need to be afraid of it, because we also know in the spiritual that when God awakens, saves us, and we are in repentance. Remember, y'all, spiritual awakening and repentance go hand in hand, package deal. So yeah, the trying to feed fleshy desires, that's the old. It passes away. It's gone. I mean, we're still here in the flesh, yeah, but we're not out here walking in our feeling. We're no longer, we got control of ourselves. For those who are still working on getting control of yourself, keep going. Okay, because like we talked about previously, that yeah, there may come a time during the trauma healing and spiritual growth where a trigger will pop up that you may not have realized you still have yet to overcome. That's a natural part of the process until you do overcome all triggers and you are emotionally regulated all the time. Nothing that they do out here or the enemy try is going to work or trigger you. As we continue to purge and stop listening to the demonic subliminal messaging. We don't, to keep it out of there. We just see it for what it is. That's the main point right there. Is how we learn how to, you know what? That's an advertisement for whatever. Okay, that's all it is. And we let it go. No, we talked about that earlier though. Yeah, that there are those who have a fear of spiders and creepy crawlies and snakes, right? Okay, well, we learned that we don't even need to fear those. No. Like I said earlier, one gets in here, I got a sandal, it goes splat. Oh, yeah. But see, that's just another way the enemy can try, by a visual, right? Because here's the thing, the enemy knows that your autonomic nervous system operates on memory. So if you used to be afraid of a certain thing in the past, your autonomic nervous system would react a certain way. And so at some point, some of us have to tell our autonomic nervous system to knock it off because we've already overcome that. Because we ourselves are not afraid. We grab a paper towel or our sandal, whatever, flip-flop, right? And we smack that sucker. And you see it running away, right? Because it knows what you're going to do. So we ain't got no reason to be afraid of them. And so, now that is a real one. The enemy loves people to be afraid of the dark. Yeah. Loves for them to be afraid of the dark. But then, as these evildoers age, they are no longer really afraid of the dark. In fact, they prefer their darkness because of their evil deeds. God tells us about that. Yeah, but that's another one. You used to have. There you go. You used to have. So if that's the case, you used to have a fear of that. You've overcome it. Congratulations. So that, just know that if anything comes forth in the future that had to do with that, then it's from the enemy. Because you used to have that fear, but you don't anymore. The enemy won't accept that you've overcome it. So he's going to try something. Just know that that's all he's doing, is trying something that used to work in the past. Okay, everybody? So that really wraps this one up about how demonic subliminal messaging works. And so for those who catch the replay at the beginning, you will catch an inspirational message. And then we dive into a bit more about the demonic subliminal messaging and more. Okay, remember, there's always an and more. And sometimes it comes at the beginning, and then a lot of times throughout, sometimes we conclude the episode with that, okay? And so that wraps this up. Again, I highly encourage y'all to hop on over to the website and check out those updates. Yes, we have decluttered. We have revamped the, about Ms. Michelle Dickey and CHA. You'll find all of you'll see how God is bringing everything into a much better alignment. And so then you'll see, underneath that is where I have the YouTube video now, like what is, and be on the lookout because God has us working on some new things for that too. All right, you all. And so this is why we highly encourage everyone to subscribe to this channel, because God is always doing a new thing, right? Yes, God is always doing a new thing. And we don't want y'all to, miss valuable information that will help you trauma healing and spiritual growth process. That's right. Get up that spiritual ladder, okay? It's all about truth seeking in God's reality. Because now that we know we've been lied to about a lot of things in this world, we're like, all right, then that's not true. So we don't believe it anymore. What is God's truth? That's what we're looking for. And so we learn how the enemy uses the demonic subliminal messages. So we become aware, right? That heightened awareness, so that, okay, we can continue to undergo that transformation, all right? To become the best version of ourselves that God created us to be. There you go. So, yes, the website update. And if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out. All right, you all. But we've got more coming. So, again, stay tuned. Okay, I am Michelle Dickey, your host for CHA's Truth Seeker Podcast, streaming on the YouTube channel, Narcissism and Cognitive Dissonance. That's right, where trauma healing and spiritual growth are front and center. Trauma healing and spiritual growth occur with God's wisdom, basic scientific facts, tried and true technique, and more. Here and at CHAAcademyBTBW.com. The link to the Academy is in the video description below for quicker access. Some of y'all may need to copy and paste the link to view what CHAAcademyBTBW.com offers to help you level up your trauma healing and spiritual growth. Sending love and light to all fellow warriors. Thank you for watching, listening, and for your support. Till next time, let's show some gratitude to the Heavenly Father, and you keep being you. In Jesus' name, amen.